All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Nicole Chestnut. I'm the Vice President of Operations at Rome Grinding Solutions, and I'm the Vice Chair of the FPSA Young Professionals Group, which is sponsoring today's event. Thank you for joining us for our overview of the FPSA Financial Wellness Program, a workplace financial wellness program provided by our partner, Truist Bank. Truist Momentum is a turnkey personal financial education platform designed to inspire employees to take action and gain control of their financial futures. In short, employees learn fundamental principles that can be implemented right away to make better decisions in between their paychecks, so they are prepared for the what if that financially lay ahead. FPSA will be rolling this program out to our own teammates later this year, and we feel it might be something that will resonate with your own employees. As you already know, financial stress is a tenacious companion. It does not stay at home during the workday. This unfortunately leads to lower levels of engagement, productivity, and higher turnover rates, all of which are detrimental to your bottom line. We're excited to have Peter Fazer and Tim Thompson with Truist here today to share the Truist Momentum story and provide an overview of the program. Peter is a 20-year veteran at Truist and leads the bank's efforts in showcasing Truist Momentum to corporations around the country. Tim leads the training and implementation team for Truist Momentum and is responsible for helping clients plan and communicate their programs to ensure a successful launch with high levels of participation. Tim has been in the financial education space for over 12 years and has helped countless employees around the world get a better place financially. Peter and Tim, thanks for joining us today.
Nicole, thank you so much, and thank you everybody that is dialed in today to learn a little bit more about our Workplace Financial Wellness Initiative, Truist Momentum. You know, this is, as Nicole said, this is rather an epidemic that is the United States is suffering from right now with the level of financial fragility, with inflation, lower wages, and overall lack of certainty as to where people find themselves in their own personal financial journey. We, as an organization at Truist, we suffered from it as well. So in our time together today, I'm going to give you a little backstory about how we as a financial organization got into the workplace financial wellness space. I want to certainly get you grounded in the principles that we teach to employees, share the methods of delivery that we, how we engage with employees. And then I want to pivot over to the online delivery, which is 1/3 of the way that we engage employees, and give you a better sense of the employee experience for how they view it, and how the portal is really a program that they can use at their will to learn what they want to learn when they want to learn it. I want to point out the three numbers on this slide to you: 72, 58, and 27. 72% of Americans feel like they live under financial stress, and 22% feel like they live under extreme financial stress. And I will tell you the reason that is that 60% of our population feels like they live paycheck to paycheck. I really feel like that number is underrepresented. I think those are the people that are confident enough to admit it to a surveyor. But that combined with 30% of Americans having no money in the bank whatsoever, and 60% of Americans not knowing where they would put their hands on $400 if an emergency came up, has led to this feeling of financial fragility in our country. As Nicole said, this is a tenacious companion. This is not something that stays at home. It goes to work with you. It goes to the soccer game. It goes to the Little League game. And it is the #1 cause of workplace stress. It causes your employees to be distracted at work. The data out of PwC's Financial Wellness Survey indicates that 28 hours a month at work are spent dealing with financial issues. And 70% of employees don't believe that their employer cares one way or another, whether they have financial stress or not. And what all that leads to is obviously bad things for the employee, but it also leads to bad things for the organization that employs them. There is overall lower commitment to the organization for those employees who feel financial stress. And if those employees feel that their stress is brought about by the dollar amount that they bring in every month and not by their habits, they are going to be less satisfied with their pay. As I've already mentioned, there is work time that gets wasted while people are on the job dealing with financial matters. But more importantly for the individuals is this level of stress, because it is constant, leads to poorer health, and it leads to greater absenteeism. We as an organization, we really thought, because we're bankers, that this was the other person's problem. We never assumed that our employees were suffering. But we found out pretty quickly through some employee engagement survey questions that only 20% of our employees felt like they were on the right track financially. And I think what was more disturbing for us as a purpose-driven organization that's been around for 130 years is that only 18% felt like we cared. We went back and we looked at a lot of the things that we were already offering, and we were really surprised to find that the utilization rate was anemically low, 3 to 5%. When we dug a little bit deeper into what we were offering, we realized predominantly what we were teaching was how to retire. And what we began to have our epiphany on was that people were struggling between the paychecks and making better decisions so they could ultimately plan for that day of retirement. We went in search of a program that would help us communicate to our employees, but more importantly, inspire them to take action, because we knew that there were a lot of reasons why our employees were not taking action, even though they said they needed it. We wanted something that would help our employees convert this opportunity of financial stress into financial confidence. We wanted something that would provide a turnkey solution where there was not a heavy lift from our HR teammates. We knew we needed educated and seasoned speakers to launch the program. And we knew we wanted to track usage. We knew that we ultimately, with 55,000 employees, we would want to do an ROI on this and make sure that our employees were using it the way we thought that they would. We found a company in Salt Lake City called 8 Pillars, founded by Brian Ford, a best-selling author of the 8 Pillars of Financial Greatness. And what impressed us the most about Brian was the participation rate he was getting from companies like eBay, Amazon, 1-800-CONTACT. And he was getting 30 to 50% of their employees to engage in the first year of delivery. We'd never seen numbers like that from an HR-sponsored program. And so we became a client. The very first year we offered this program to our teammates, 65% voluntarily went through it. And the decision was made that if this is something that bankers were that thirsty for, it was a sure bet that the employees of our clients could probably use this as well. And so we bought that company. About 6 years ago, after we purchased the company, we made sure to hire Brian, all of his lieutenants, who Tim was part of that team, because we really wanted to protect the integrity of the delivery. While we put a lot of capital behind it, and we certainly made sure that we brought in adult learning specialists and behavioral psychologists to help us frame the program, we really felt passionately about the way that Brian and his team delivered it to us. So what's the program about? Well, the first thing that you'll notice is it's a mobile optimized learning portal, and it is self-paced. Employees can learn what they want to learn, when they want to learn it, when they have a specific question. We offer them things like free credit score tracking, credit score bureau view. We offer them personal financial management tools, one-on-one financial coaching. But if I can share with you one sentence that I think sums up how we approach this topic, it is that we need to inspire people first. We need to get them to step on the scale for the first time, understand what their reality is, but then provide hope and encouragement that, number one, they're not alone in their journey, that everyone is suffering from financial stress from time to time, and that there is the ability to change the trajectory of your financial future with just some minor tweaks and then some bigger steps along the way. I want to spend a little bit more time on this slide because I want to make sure you get grounded in the principles that we teach and the methods in which we teach them. So on the left-hand side of this slide, what you'll see are the 8 pillars of education. Now, when Brian Ford wrote his best-selling book, he interviewed families, individuals who all felt financially confident. What he kept coming back to were 8 overlapping principles that they engaged in behaviorally. And that was the basis of his book. It became the basis of the fundamental principles that he taught at 8 Pillars. And it is also the fundamental principles of what we teach at Truist Momentum. Pillar 1 is establishing an emergency savings account. What we know to be true is that unless you have emergency savings, an employee is less likely to engage in the other offerings of education because they have such a level of hopelessness. They never see how they're going to get out of this. And so that is why getting people to have money set aside for those what ifs in their life is so critical. And that's why it's Pillar 1. Pillar 2 is teaching people how to get organized, how to be automated, how to understand where you sit real time today. Pillar 3 is about understanding debt. Now, the key component there is understanding the difference between good debt and bad debt. I would take this opportunity to tell you that this is not a program that professes that unless you're out of debt 100%, you're not successful. We don't subscribe to that. We do know that there is things like consumer debt, which can really hold you back. It can stack up against you. But there are other forms of leverage that you can use to propel yourself forward, whether those are student loans or whether that's a mortgage. We want you to understand the difference. We also want you to understand your credit score. There's been too much mystery in that number for too long, and we want people to understand the behaviors that it takes to make that score go up, but also how to make that, what to avoid to make that score go down. Pillar 4 is about insurance and understanding how to plan for what if. And I would tell you in brief, there's 2 fundamental principles there. Not to be penny wise and pound foolish when it comes to preparing for what ifs in your life, but also not to be overinsured. We often encounter employees who go through annual enrollment that will go to the far right column, and it's the most expensive, but they're not really sure what all of the components mean, and so they pick the most expensive one. It is pre-tax. And what we find a lot of times is that those individuals have overinsured themselves and their family, and that money could be allocated elsewhere. Pillar 5 is about investing. Now, I want to be very clear about something. We're not a fiduciary in this program. We don't offer specific investment advice. As a matter of fact, we don't sell any bank product or service in the delivery of Truist Momentum. We know that that is the number one reason that people will shy away from programs like this when they're offered. They do not want to be cross-sold. So again, we are providing through this delivery inspiration and then education and then tools to take advantage of the education. We talk about 401k. We talk about retirement. It wouldn't be a solid financial program unless we talked about those things. But once you've maxed out in those opportunities, there are other ways to get your money to work for you. And that's really what we want to teach people. Pillar 6 is about home ownership. People who feel financially confident, they're often homeowners. But even if they're not, even if they're a soon-to-be, or maybe never to be homeowner, we want them to understand there are some fundamental ratios that they should pay attention to when it comes to making sure that their allocation for rent or mortgage does not exceed a certain percentage of their gross income. If they are going to be a homeowner, that's awesome, but we want them to understand the mortgage products that are out there. They should know what they're getting into. Pillar 7, we find that a lot of our clients at the C-suite, they love Pillar 7 because it really talks about value quotient. And what do I mean by that? Well, each individual can maximize their earning income asset, and that is themselves. Everyone finds themselves within a pay grade. And the trick is, how do you handle the other side of that financial stress coin? The one side is the outflow, the other side is the income. I imagine all of you on this call offer additional educational opportunities for your employees, maybe mentorships, but getting the employees to understand how to increase their value quotient so they can increase their income. And then the last pillar is actually my favorite. It's about getting perspective by giving back and doing for others. Now, whether that's in your time, whether that's in your resources, there are 2 things that happen. Fundamentally, you are a better steward of what you have left over after you've carved out some of your resources for someone else. But you also feel much better about yourself when you're doing for others. That aligns with our purpose, and I'm confident aligns with the purpose of many of your organizations. On the right-hand side of this slide, I want to share with you how we engage with employees, because different people learn in different ways. Some are going to want to take advantage of the self-directed learning available at truistmomentum.com, which I'm going to share with you in just a moment. Others, however, may prefer a classroom setting. They may want to do this virtually. They may want to do it in person. But the bottom line is that may be how they learn, and that may be how they want to engage, and we offer that. The last way that we engage with employees is we take into consideration that you may have employees that may be technologically savvy, maybe some are not. We don't want that to be the reason that they don't engage. And so all of the learning materials, all of the education that we offer is available in hard copy format. I want to draw your attention to the middle of that slide and the word ignite. Because if I could come up with the secret sauce of how we continually get 30 to 50% participation from our clients, it's that. And that is where Tim comes in. Tim and his team socialize the concept in either a virtual or an in-person meeting that can be customized in delivery and customized in length, depending on the employee base, to help them understand what the program is and how to make better use of it. They will walk through things like showing them how it's optimized to fit on your phone or your tablet, and that this is not a program that is going to be shared with your employer. Said differently, this is not a single sign-on. This will live on any piece of technology, any browser that the employee wants to use. I mentioned that one of the number one reasons people don't engage in programs like this is they don't want to get cross-sold. But the number two reason is because they come to this with low financial self-esteem, they don't want to know that you have access to the information they're putting into it. So confidentiality is key, and Tim and his team will cover that. But they will make a topic that most people come into the session thinking is going to be boring and about budgeting, and they will make it engaging. And they will, I have been in these with Tim and his team where people are laughing, sometimes they are crying, and they are sharing stories about themselves that they never thought they would share before. Once they recognize that this is a component of the total rewards that you're going to offer to them, and it's for everybody. You may need it, you may not. We just want you to come learn about it. They come into those sessions, they let their guard down, and that's where the learning and the traction can begin. We track a lot of data at Truist, and we help our clients track a lot of data as well about usage. The first number on that slide, we are very proud of, 99.5%. That's the number of participants who would recommend Truist to other people. Why would they do that? Well, because behavior change occurs. We see participants who never lived by a budget before formulate a meaningful one and start to use it. We see people who open up emergency savings accounts and start to contribute to it. We see people who understand what we feel is the most important ratio when it comes to personal finance, and that's net worth. We think that way because it is agnostic to your income. It's a pure reflection of the decisions you make with the resources you have. And then the last thing I'll point out, at least on this slide, because we collect a lot more data than this, is increases to the 401k plan. We saw increases to our 401k plan in the neighborhood of 35%. And that's fairly consistent with what our clients see as well. As you probably surmised, look, this is a parallel track. There are issues that your employees are suffering from. The idea is to help them with that problem. Do it in a confidential way where there are no product placements involved, giving them hope and encouragement and inspiration. And that is great for the employee. But there is also an added benefit to your organization, because here's what we found. With those employees who went through this program at Truist, our employee engagement went up. Our productivity with those employees went up. Our turnover with those individuals went down. And I'll flip that and tell you that our retention rates with people who went through this program went up 36%. Absenteeism went down. All of that was a very good thing for our shareholders because it is a middle of the income statement problem, employee engagement and employee happiness. And we saw profitability go up. It has been a wonderful program for us. We've now successfully delivered it and launched it with over 300 of our best clients. We are very anxious to see how it resonates with you. I am going to flip over now and take you on a quick tour of truistmomentum.com just so you can get a sense of what the user experience is like. So what I've taken you to is truistmomentum.com. This is the landing page. And remember, this is 1/3 of the delivery for those who choose to engage online. I'll point up top that this is 100% converted in Spanish, if that's important to you. We have a lot of clients where Spanish is the native language of their employees. I'll point out to you that our instructors are native Spanish speaking, and the materials that we offer in hard copy format are also translated by native Spanish speakers. We've made it very easy to create an account. We don't collect a lot of personal data. It's your first name, your last name, your registration code, which would be unique to your organization. Whether they're an employee or whether they're a family member, or maybe somebody else that they care about who could make use of this. We leave that up to our clients to decide if they want to make that available to others. But I will tell you this, that there is a certain level of connectivity that you'll get by providing this solution to your employees. But there is an exponent that gets put on that if you can make this available to somebody that they love and care about. They enter their email address, and then they set their password. If they'd like to hear from us, they can opt in. We felt that was a much better option. And again, what they'll hear from us is not any kind of sales pitch, but what they'll hear from us are alerts, maybe updates to the site, or notifications of congratulations that they're doing great, or maybe we haven't seen them in a while. So gentle reminders that, hey, you may almost be done with one of the pillars. We'd love to have you come back and finish it off. I'm going to sign us in to one of our test employees, whose name is Amy. And what you'll see is that when Amy signs in for the very first time, she's going to be greeted by something that's called a financial confidence profile. And the financial confidence profile is a short survey. It's 15 questions long. It takes just a couple of minutes to complete. I'll point out to you that they never have to do it if they don't want to. They can X out of it and move on. We highly encourage people to do it for two reasons. One, people come to this feeling they've not done enough. The way that we have formulated these questions is we want them to feel better about their situation than when they logged in, because they have done things that they can't remember. We want to give them credit for that. By answering these 15 questions, it also pre-fills the learning material, so it can guide the employee to their blind spots. It kind of meets them where they sit today. Here's a great example. Something unexpected happens, your car breaks down, you drop your cell phone in the toilet. We really wanted these to feel like you're talking to a friend. Depending on how they answer this question and the other 14, it will then pre-fill their progress bar. So I'll draw your attention up here, because this is Amy right here. Here's your picture. This is Amy's progress bar. Now I want you to keep in mind, she's not done anything yet. She's only answered the 15 questions. She may have thought she was at 20%, maybe 10%. But when she logs in and she sees that she's 61% of the way through the program, she automatically feels better. Down below, with the individual pillars of education, she also has a percentage of completion of each one of these. So that's what I mean when I say we guide the employee to their blind spots, but we also like to give them credit for all the stuff that they've done. So she's almost done with pillar 2, getting organized and automated. She might need to spend a little time, if she wants, on the philanthropy section in pillar 8. Up top, I'll let your eyes get adjusted to everything else that's on here. I've got FPSA's logo on here for today, but your logo would be in place of that. We want you to be the hero in this, and every time that an employee logs in, we want them to be reminded, hey, this is an offering that we're bringing to you at our cost because we care about you. Easy tabs to get from the education pillars to the tools, the My Credit, the coaching and counseling, the My Family tab, the podcast that we offer, and then the help and account settings. Down below, what I value most. One of the first things we ask employees to do is list out the things that are most important to them, their family, their partner. And you might think to yourself, well, what does that have to do with budgeting? Well, as it turns out, our data indicates that when you get people to list out all the things that are important to them, and not just, as Amy says, my dog, career, health, travel, because for most everybody, the top 10 are universal. But when you get down to maybe heat in Idaho in February, and that's important to you, that's going to be where your money goes. And so we want people to begin living a budget life that aligns with their values, because it becomes much easier to cut out the things that are not important to you. We also like people to pick one particular financial goal. It's the why behind the engagement. They're reminded every time that they log in. There are other places within the site that they can pick other financial goals and track their progress, but we want them to pick one in particular. I will point out that the dashboard here, does not show up on the employee site. That will show up on your administrator site, because on the dashboard, that provides you the ability to view engagement. You can look at it in the aggregate, and if you want, you can drill down to all the users in an Excel spreadsheet. I'll remind you, you can never see what people put into the site, but you can certainly see who the person is. When was the last time they logged in? Are they watching the landing videos? Are they going through the exercises? And are they engaging in the doer items? There is a resource center. This is where Tim really shines, because he walks our clients through the implementation process, which, as I mentioned early in this conversation, we needed it to be turnkey. We did not need this to be a heavy lift for our employees. There is a launch kit that Tim follows to help guide the conversation about planning and communication. We provide a 6-minute abbreviated version of the Ignite session that I mentioned earlier. We have all of the emails already crafted. We would customize them, of course, to fit the demographic of your employees, but we provide you the background for that level of communication, whether it's the posters, the emails, or postcards. I know a lot of you are aware that the CFO of the family is maybe not the person who's working at your organization. And we certainly want to make sure that we bring that person into the conversation, because when you can get couples to work on this together is really when you can facilitate that behavior change. I'm going to take you back then to the tools, and I'm just going to walk you through two of them, because these, I think, are the ones that people use the most, but I also think they're the most impactful to help people start feeling a little bit more confident about their situation. One is a money aggregator that we've provided. And I don't know if any of you have used a money aggregator before. There's several out there in the market. But the benefit of a money aggregator, it enables you to pull all of your accounts together in one dashboard. So you can track where you sit real time with all of your cash accounts, all of your debt instruments, and then you can track your spending. This is very easy to set up. It takes most people about 10 minutes to do this. But I'll show you that this works kind of like a Google search engine. And I'll just type in Virginia here. Any financial institution that has a routing number that is in Virginia will then populate. If I clicked on Virginia Credit Union, it would ask me for my login credentials. It would then take me to Virginia Credit Union, where I would log in to their site. And then it would port me directly back to Truist Momentum. I'll be very clear about this. You cannot conduct transactions using this tool. And when the conversation takes us to that place, we can talk about all the security protocols that are in place. But essentially, in order to maintain the integrity of living your values and your budget in alignment, people need a tool to be able to see where their money goes. There's nothing that the employee needs to import in here. They don't need to import credit card numbers, bank account numbers, social security numbers. Because it data scrapes, it'll automatically be driven by the transaction code. So it'll show that you went to Levi's outlet, you bought clothing, and this is the card that you used. You can categorize these any way you want, by account, by category, by payee. So in a little bit more user-friendly visual way, people can understand where the money goes and where specifically it goes as a percentage of their income. Now, we do offer on this site an Excel spreadsheet. We call it a super Excel budget spreadsheet. And if you're an Excel nerd like I am, you love it. A lot of people don't like Excel. And so we wanted to offer a budgeting tool that was a little bit more user-friendly. So if you engage in the money aggregator through our guidance, we'll give you some percentages of your income to budget for line items. Now that's totally customizable. You can take what we give you and throw it out the window. But the important thing is we give you a starting block. Then as the transactions come in and out of your account, they will then feed into the budget bubbles that you've created. It's intuitive. I don't even have to tell you. Green is good, yellow is you're on your way to overspending, and red is you've overspent. It's time to rethink that budget item, or was there some anomaly that happened in a spending item during that particular month? Of all the slides I've showed you, which are really cool, this is actually my favorite because it adds another layer to this. The black bar is income over time. Now I have it set for 1 year. The color coding on the expenses is the same as we've already seen. But everybody from time to time feels like they outspend their income. And for Amy, it's happening in July and August. Now that she knows, she can be better prepared for that point in the year. But another thing that Amy learns is that this white is excess cash flow. She needs to ask herself what she's doing with that excess cash flow. Is she spending it? Is she saving it? Is she paying down debt with it? If she's paying down debt, on this slide, she'll see some improvement in this graphic. This is a collection of all of the debt that Amy has. It projects out, based on the current monthly payment that she has, when she will be out of debt 100%. Because it connects directly with the financial institution, again, there's nothing for Amy to put in. It'll pull over the balance, the current APR, the amount that's due, and when the projected final payment is going to be. When she decides that she wants to pay one of these cards off or pay it down, what she'll see is this graphic move real time from right to left, shortening the duration of when she'll be out of the situation she's in. So again, baby steps of hope, encouragement through real-time feedback. The last two tabs on this, net worth, as I mentioned earlier, we believe it's the #1 financial ratio for personal finance. You do not have to add a bunch of cash into your checking account to make this go up and to the right. You change your spending habits, you will see it increase. And the idea is we want people to get adjusted to the idea that when it's going up and to the right, they're doing better. And if it's going down and to the right, they need to go back and take a look at what happened. And we provided them tools to do that. Here's what I mentioned earlier. You've got opportunities to put in other financial goals that you can track. The credit tab, this is a TransUnion credit score. So it is one of the big three. And what it enables the employee to do, because it's a soft goal, is once they learn about credit score and what makes it go up and what makes it go down, now they can track their number. And not only can they track their number, but they can actually look at their credit bureau. They can sign up for credit monitoring to determine, hey, is anybody pulling my credit? Is anybody trying to open accounts in my name? We give them topics in addition to what we teach in Pillar 3 about how to improve that credit score. I mentioned earlier, we do offer one-on-one financial coaching, and we wanted to do this specifically through an independent third party. We didn't want people to feel like they needed to pick up the phone and call a Truist banker to get advice. So we partnered with Money Management International. They're the largest credit coach in the United States. They've been around since 1962. And what we love about our partnership with them is, #1, they don't sell any bank products or services either. But also, they are a good sounding board for people who want to pick up the phone or send an email and actually have a conversation with someone who does this for a living. Our bank of operators, they know our platform. They know the principles that we teach. They can guide people back to certain segments in the site, but they're also really good at adding on additional information if there are specific questions. I'll just tell you a quick aside. When we first delivered this, we only offered the 800 number. And we really weren't getting a lot of usage, and we're trying to figure out why. And we asked the folks at MMI, why aren't people taking advantage? We know they want it. And they reminded us that people feel so badly about their current situation that they really don't want to be worried about what the tone or inflection is going to be of the voice on the other end of that call when they lay it all out there. So once we added the email, that usage really started to take off. And what we appreciate about our partnership with MMI is they are really good at converting those emails to actual phone conversations. We found out that once people begin to build their own level of financial confidence, this is a topic that they probably have historically shied away from sharing with their children, little ones, teenagers, or maybe even the aging loved ones in their life. So we wanted to provide some talking points. How do you talk to your little kids about delayed gratification? Set the principles at an early age. How do you talk to your teenagers, maybe who are exiting high school to start in the workforce, about building credit, opening a checking account, savings account, etc.? And if you're in the sandwich generation, like a lot of us are, how do you approach that topic with the aging loved ones in your life to make sure they're not outstripping their resources? The podcasts that are available, there's Brian Ford on the right, the author of the program. This is Bright Dixon. Bright works for Truist. He's in charge of our happiness quotient for our employees. And the data is very clear. Happy employees outperform unhappy employees by 20%. That's Bright's job, to make sure that our employees are happy. Because the number one thing that we found that employees are unhappy about, and I mentioned it on slide number 2, financial stress. So helping them alleviate that through conversations with Bright and with Brian. They put these out anywhere podcasts can be listened to. But we thought it was important to include them in the site. So when you were here and you were emotionally attached to one particular topic, it's right there. You don't have to go search for it. Help and account settings, self-explanatory. I don't know if I mentioned this already, but I will tell you this, that on the help tab, you're locked out, money aggregator's not loading, you're having a problem with pulling your credit bureau, you reach out to us. But those are people on our team in Atlanta. We don't third party that out. So they'll get somebody on the Truist Momentum team. So I've talked a lot, probably for the last almost 40 minutes. So Andy, Elena, do we have any specific questions that have come up about the presentation?
Yes, Peter, thanks. You've given a very excellent presentation here. There are a few questions. First one, can I sign up myself as an individual, or must it be my company?
It's a great question. We get asked that question a lot. And right now, it is only available through the total rewards package of whatever company it is that you work for. Now, I will say this. We always leave it up to the individual company to decide if this is something that you want to make portable. Do you want to continue to cover the cost of it after an employee leaves? An example would be if there's a rationalization of the workforce, and that could be the time that an employee needs this information the most. You may decide that you want to let them keep it. I will say what is portable, however, is the money aggregator, because the money aggregator can work under a separate application. And we really felt pretty passionately that if someone went to that trouble of getting themselves organized enough to track their spending, to see where they sat real time, that should be something that was portable. So the educational component is not, but the financial tool of the My Money desktop, that is.
Okay, very good. Peter, next question. Do you customize the rollout for my business if I engage on this?
Another great question, because customization is critical. This is not a one-size-fits-all, and you have different employees at different levels, at different locations, and different components of where they find themselves in their financial journey. So we try to customize this through your guidance to make sure that this is going to resonate in the right way. There are times, I mentioned the Ignite session, but there are times like in a warehouse or in a manufacturing facility where it's probably better served for us to do a leader-led initiative where we educate the leaders of those plant facilities on the program. So then they can have the one-on-one conversations with those employees. We do certainly allow for customization of the emails, the posters, the flyers. We give you the core fundamentals of what we know is going to resonate, but we certainly want to make it applicable and how and just be sensitive to how it's going to resonate with your demographic.
Okay. Next question. When you say you only charge for active users, what does that mean? Are there any minimum levels of participation required?
Yeah, let me first kind of cover how we charge, because it was really important for us to live up to our purpose in bringing this out to our clients, and that we only wanted to charge what it cost us to deliver. Now, we do bifurcate out the cost based on the size of the company. And for those companies that are less than 800 employees, it's $18 per active user per year. For those companies that are greater than 800 employees, it's $12 per active user per year, or essentially $1 a month. And everything that I've just shown you on the Truist Momentum site is included in that $12 per month. Now, let me explain what active user means, because everybody is on a different path. And you may find that there's an employee that needs some specific information, or maybe they get on the site and they get everything out of it that they want in the first 5 months. That's great. And if we see that they have not logged in for 6 months, we're not going to charge you again for that employee. So you're really only going to pay for those people who want to use it, and you're only going to pay during the time that they're actively engaged. That was a good question. That reminded me to kind of break out the cost structure anyway. So thank you for that, Andy.
Yeah. Okay, and the last question I've got here, our 401k provider offers something similar. How is Truist Momentum different?
You know, it's something that comes up quite a bit. And as you know, we've been doing this now for the last 7 years. We've seen 401k providers come up with their own version of financial education. Here's what we know to be true, is that 401k education delivered out to most employees, very much like when we delivered it to our employees, is geared towards one topic, and that is putting money in the 401k plan. Unfortunately, that leads to a dramatically underserved population that has either not contributed before or doesn't think they can increase their contribution because of the stress that they're under in between the paychecks. So our program would be distinctly different than what a 401k provider would offer. But I will tell you this, we boxcar this knowledge and this delivery onto what the 401k provider is already offering. And what they often find, as I showed you on, I think it was slide number 7, is that increases to the 401k plan, they increase. Because once you can get somebody to a place where they recognize, hey, I've got an extra $10, $20, $50, whatever it is to contribute, then they can start to plan for the future. One thing I will take this opportunity to tell you is that in the site, there is an opportunity to embed links to other components of your total rewards package. So said a little differently, it's great if Truist Momentum can be a hub, because when you can cut out the friction for someone who's maybe going into Pillar 1 and they say, you know what, I probably do have $10 that I could open up an emergency savings account. Great, we'd like you to go ahead and do that right now. Or when you're in Pillar 5 and you're thinking about, you know, I haven't contributed to the 401k, but I really think that if I've adjusted my insurance contribution, I probably have $15, $20, whatever that number is. We want you to be able to embed on, you know, click on that link right then and there, take you to the 401k provider site and take action, so you don't get distracted by leaving the site and you lose that emotional connection.
All right. Well, Peter,
those are great questions.
Talk to me about follow-up. We have a member who's interested, maybe they're seeing the recording or they're on the webinar today. How should they be following up to get more information on the program?
Yeah, that would be great. And so I'm available at peter.faser, F-A-S-E-R, at truist.com. And I am happy to schedule some specific time with you to talk about your organization. We can dive much deeper into the weeds of how this program might be applicable and how it would resonate through some customization for your own employees. I know that, Andy, maybe there's an opportunity for us to send out an email to those who have been in attendance today, or if you send out the link for those that have not been able to attend, to have our contact information on there, our phone numbers and our email address.
Yes, we'll definitely be sharing that with all our members. So, Peter,
awesome.
I want to thank you very much. This is a great opportunity for our members. I see the benefit. I think a lot of our members will. We're all employees. We all have our private lives, our own financial issues, and any tool like this is very valuable and helps us move forward both as people and as employees. So thank you very much, Peter.
Andy, thank you, and everyone on the call. Thank you for joining today. Really appreciate it.
All right, Peter, have a good day now.
Thanks. Y'all take care.
Okay.